This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and it is time for Avoid the Maze. And today our guest is Laura Brandao. Did I say it right? I
You
did.
got it.
You know, I'm terrible with names, and I never ask ahead of time. And Laura, I have to tell you, because our show is about the journey through life, oftentimes I look at individuals like yourself who are very developed in business, and we make this assumption that this person was always on the path. They always knew what they wanted to do, and they're living their best life. And that may be true, but the reality of it is that our path changes constantly as we go through life. And I thought, well, let's have somebody on who's not necessarily talking about a hiccup along the road, although maybe you did have some hiccups along the road. But I know one of the things that you've done in your business is you became a writer. And let's talk about that, because so many of us sit around dreaming that we're going to write a book. Not only is it going to be a bestseller, but it's going to transform not only our life, but everybody else's. So how did you get into this mode of business and saying, hey, I have enough information to put into a book and share with other people?
Well, number one, thank you so much for having me. It truly is a pleasure. Okay, so I guess this is a product of the pandemic. This is a product of 2020, because at that stage when everything changed in my life of no longer driving to an office, being secluded in my home, no longer traveling for business, I looked at that as an opportunity of, you know what? I'm going to use this time to be able to capture my thoughts, capture my journey, and be able to document it in my dream of putting it into a book. Since that time, a year later, actually in the same year, I came out with my second book, and I am in the process right now of writing my third book, because I've realized that we all have a book inside of us, because every single one of us has a journey, has knowledge, has insights that needs to be shared with others. Now, you also have to realize that your book is not meant for everyone, because although we hope that everyone will gather something from it, you have to have it hit you at the moment that it is impactful to you. So that is not to discourage someone, because we all have it inside of us, but you have to go into it knowing that it's not going to necessarily be the message for everyone at that moment in their life.
And that's an important message, no matter what we want to share in life. Because sometimes we say, you know what? I'm just going to take a back seat in this room today. I'm not going to offer my voice because nobody here is interested. But the reality of it is, until you let some of it seep out, you don't know if there's an interest or not. I know personally, when it comes to running a business, and this is my fourth or fifth already in my lifetime, I personally did not sit down and read books. Yes, I did my due diligence by going to other people who were in business. I learned from their mistakes, but I'm a person who does best by jumping in,
Right.
And learning really from my own mistakes. But I've also realized recently that sometimes, like you said, it's really important to have this knowledge at your fingertips and know that, okay, I'm hitting a rough spot. I'm
Right.
hitting a question. Where can I find that answer? And even though your answer may not be my answer, it may tell me what not to do, even if
That
it
is
doesn't tell
very
me
true.
what to do.
That is very, very true. And sometimes we need to see what other people do to reinforce the fact that we can also do it. Sometimes you just need to say, hey, that person took that leap of faith and it turned out okay for them, or that person had a failure. And you know what? They were able to pivot and they were able to get through it. I can do that too. So sometimes, even if it's not just for the knowledge, it's for the experience and the insights to be able to say, I can be like that person, or I can gain that information, or I can also take that leap of faith.
And what I think is important for our listeners to know is that, just because you wrote a book doesn't mean, and you basically said this, doesn't mean that you're any better at writing or putting it together, but you chose to put your time and energy into writing a book. And so many of us sit around thinking, well, Laura did it, so she knew how to do it. And because she knew how to do it, I don't, so I'm just not going to do it. And I spent a good portion of my life that way. Had all these ideas. Oh, I could do this, I could do that. And saw somebody else doing it and said, oh, it's too late. They did it and they knew how. But then about 10 years ago, it was like, you know what? What am I waiting for?
That's right.
Because I'm going to end up going to my grave.
You're going to have regrets.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And my family and friends are going to know that I have those regrets. And I don't want to leave them with that either. So it's interesting that you said that this all sort of developed because of the pandemic. You ended up finding yourself at home. So I'm assuming pre-pandemic, you were just on that hamster wheel, right?
Correct.
So how did that really work for you?
Yeah. So, and I want to go back a little bit to explain where Say Yes Every Day came from, because Say Yes Every Day is a philosophy. It's actually a mindset. Okay. And it all started in, I'm the president and the only woman partner of a national mortgage company. So my career has been in the mortgage business. Okay. So in order for me to build a successful mortgage company, like you said, I was on the hamster wheel, literally laser focused, working my tail off morning, noon, and night, focused. Okay. In 2018, there was a change in the marketplace in the mortgage business. It was something called margin compression, which means that you had to do a lot more volume in order to make the same amount of money at the company. Okay, so that gives you a picture. So here I am, I'm running a company, and I need to figure out, how do I double sales just to make the same amount of money that the company was making before? Okay. I received a phone call, random phone call from a mortgage conference promoter saying, Laura, we would like for you to come out to California and moderate a panel. So at that moment, I said yes. But what you don't understand is I had never gone on a stage before. I had never been interviewed before. I had never been outside my company. I was laser focused building a company. So about 2 weeks before the conference, I chicken out and I call the conference promoter and I say, hey, I have one of my employees. He's going to moderate the panel. We're good. And I want to thank that promoter time and time again, because he told me no. He said, Laura, you're going to California. You're getting up on that stage, and I know you'll do amazing. So for the next couple of weeks, I watched YouTube videos and I read books and I figured out how to have energy, and I figured out how to project, and I figured out how to have a great presence and moderate a panel. And I got up on that stage and something happened. When I got off that stage, I had a line of women waiting to speak to me. I didn't know why. And those women said, Laura, thank you for being up on that stage, because our industry is so male dominated and we never get to see women executives representing our industry. And I made a promise at that moment in time in 2018 that I would never let fear hold me back from doing something, and I will no longer say no to hiding myself, not projecting, whether it's my voice, whether it's my words on paper, whether it's my picture, videos, whatever. I'm putting myself out there because someone needs to hear what I have to say. And in that moment, I decided that I would say yes every day, not meaning I say yes to everything. So let's not go there. What it means is that I go into every situation being open to the experience with no preconceived notions or expectations, and I live my life to the fullest.
And seriously, most women were afraid to do that because we know the terms that the male dominated industry has given us.
Mhm.
And so I know myself, when I was in corporate America, I was one of the oldest in my unit. And because of being older, being female, I found myself not saying what I wanted to say.
Shrinking.
And yet, when I was in my office doing my job, I get it. I was laser focused. I was doing an excellent job,
Mhm.
but nobody was admitting that to me. And I found out later why. It's because I didn't come out and let people know that I knew I was good at what I was doing
That's very true.
until I started telling people I'm good at what I do. Then I started getting acknowledged.
Mhm.
But I remember as a young child, I was told, you don't talk about yourself.
It is not ladylike to self-promote.
So I know we were going to talk about the book, and we are, but let me just ask you, you went into a male dominated field.
Mhm.
What made you go into the mortgage field?
Yeah. So you know, in your intro, when you were speaking about sometimes it's deliberate and sometimes it's by accident, and this is shared in the book. So all accident. Me and my husband, we met high school sweethearts. Okay. We were in high school. We were engaged to get married, and oops, I get pregnant. 19. I am a baby. Okay. So we get married, and these two babies have to figure out how to raise a baby. And the plan was, you go to work, I'll stay home because we can't afford daycare. Okay. And we're like, okay, what can I do at night? What can we do where I hand the baby off to my husband when he comes home that I can go and do at night? So the options were two things in those days. You either worked in a store or you worked on the phone. So I get a job working in telemarketing. Okay. The dreaded word that no one wants to hear. I was really good at it.
Yeah.
I was actually really good at it. And the campaign that I was put on, thank goodness, was a mortgage company calling people to see if they were interested in lowering their interest rate. Well, long story short, I did very well. I was promoted very quickly. I wound up running the entire telemarketing company for about 5 years. And by the time my son was ready to go to school and I needed to get a job during the day, I went and worked for a mortgage company. And literally by 27, I was the chief operations officer of a mortgage company. And in 2007, when the industry was crashing, I was given the opportunity to start a brand new division, which is the company I'm president and partner of. But that all came from the crash of subprime lending. And that is how I never looked back. I dove in. It didn't matter if my title was telemarketer. I didn't care if my title was emptying the garbage can. I needed a job. I needed to take care of my family, and I needed to be the best at anything I did. So regardless of what the title was, regardless of what the money was, it didn't matter. I had to own it. I had to be the best at it. And that is how I've always approached anything that has been in front of me.
And that is the key to anything that we do.
It is.
And, one of the things that we talk about on this program a lot is that we get to judge what our best is.
That's right.
And again, we keep waiting for somebody to tell us, if I don't get that promotion, I guess I'm not good enough, which may be true, may not be true. But again, it's that self-expression. And if we can get nothing else out to our listeners today, you have, like you said, you have to self-promote.
You do.
Doesn't mean to knock down the next guy. And this is something I've been very proud of my younger son. He's been a manager in training, and he'll come home and he'll say, so-and-so deserves a promotion before me.
Wow, that's awesome.
And I'll look at him and go, shh, don't say that out loud. And he goes, no, it's serious. And he'll tell me why.
Do you realize how mature he is to recognize that? That's fabulous.
Absolutely. But when you first hear it as a parent, you're going, shh, don't say that too loud. You get it first. But what I see in him is that it helps him grow as well. Those were things that I did not learn in school.
Me either.
Although he learned it by being passed over.
Oh.
And so he analyzed every time I was passed over, why? And he also found out a lot of it was he wasn't self-projecting. So, and it's easy to do because you can share your knowledge with other people. And that's a way of self-projecting.
Yeah, you have to, and especially, I know this isn't just for women, but women specifically, a lot of times we think by just doing, and being the best at our job, we think someone else is going to notice us. It doesn't always work that way. You have to use your voice. You have to show what you do, and you have to make sure that people are aware of what you're doing. Because I like to use that word shrinking. When you shrink into yourself, you are not actually projecting who you are or what you want. A lot of times people are afraid to say, I want to be the president. I want to be the COO. I want to be the manager. Whatever you want to be, a lot of times people are afraid to say they want that because they're afraid of the disappointed if they don't get it. So two things. One, tell people what you want. It doesn't mean you need to get it tomorrow. It doesn't mean that you expect to get it tomorrow. But if you never project out and tell who you are reporting to or the owners of the company where you want to go, they don't know. They're not mind readers. And the second thing, and I think your son is doing this, but I'm going to tell this for everyone out there. There is a great YouTube video by Walter Bond. It's called Shark Mindset. Walter Bond is an NBA player, former. So I love his story, and I tell this story to everyone. So please watch the video. But the story is when he wanted to be an NBA player in high school, in college, he would go to his coaches and he would say, I'm not good enough to be an NBA player right now. I know I'm not. What do I need to work on? What do I need to do in order to become an NBA player? And they would say, you need to work on this drill. You need to do this. You need to lose weight. You need to, whatever it is. A lot of times we're afraid to say, I know I'm not qualified for this position, but can you tell me, what do I need to learn? What classes do I need to take? Who can I mentor with so that I can learn those roles? What do I need to do? Because that's where I'm going. That's where I'm going. I just need you to map out the road that I need to take in order to get there. Don't be afraid to ask for what you want. That's your life. That's what you're negotiating for. Don't be afraid to speak up.
So I look at your journey, and your journey began with love, which is absolutely wonderful, because love in our life just is a great propeller to move forward.
And we're married 32 years. We're still happily
32
married. We just celebrated.
Well,
Yes.
that is fantastic. And I love the story that your husband understood that back then it didn't make sense for the two of you to be out working and one salary just paying for daycare.
Correct.
And most of us, when we're out there looking for that job to help put the food on the table, we get a little too big in our head. We don't want to be doing telemarketing.
Correct.
We don't want to be standing in a retail store and making probably minimum wage. But starting at a lower level gives you the opportunity to grow. And that's what so many of us don't see. We think, hey, I've got my college education, or I have a certificate, or whatever it is. I should be able to do X job. Well, you know what? If X job isn't being offered to you today, like you said, how do I get there? Okay. Now, I know I would not be good as a telemarketer, because I tend to hang up on telemarketers. So I know everybody be hanging up on me. And
because that's what you would expect.
Exactly.
So literally that's what would happen. And the other thing I want to share about what you just said, just so you know, the things I learned, the communication skill, the patience skill, the listening skills, and the ability to handle rejection without taking it personally, those foundational skills got me to where I am today.
And those are skills that are difficult to teach. You have to experience them. So, and I understand that. Part of my job in corporate America was at a college, and I used to have to call lists of students to try to get them to come back into school, or to, consider our school. And that was one part of my job I absolutely hated, because I knew they were getting bombarded with other colleges doing the exact same thing.
Right.
But you're right. On the days that I said, you know what, it's not going to faze me if they hang up on me, if they say no. Those were the days that I had conversations, and
Correct.
I brought students in. It just didn't stick with me long enough. So, but again, a lot of that is based on the culture we've been brought up in. If we feel that every time we open up our mouth, somebody is going to say no to us, we're going to walk into a situation expecting that. So
Correct.
it does take changing your mindset and opening yourself up.
That is correct. And I live, another one of my philosophies that I've had my whole life is that I believe that when I meet someone, I want to make them feel better and make their day better than before they spoke to me. So I don't care if I'm trying to convince them of something, whether it's, hey, are you interested in refinancing a loan? Or whether it's just having this conversation. I hoped that I can share a bit of joy and a bit of positivity to everyone that I speak to, because we know life is hard. We have no idea what someone is going through today.
Right.
None of us. We can't even begin to imagine what some people are going through. So if I can make someone feel good in just a short moment of time, then that is my gift to anyone that I speak to, whether it's about a mortgage or whether it's about something else.
Well, and as I read the comment, say yes every day. You know, I used to identify myself as a yes person. Will you bake cookies for the PTA? Yes. Will you drive the kids here? Yes. You know, will you help me rake my leaves? Yes. I said it because I wanted people to include me. And then I realized I'm not saying yes to the things that I really want to do, that I'm passionate about. I'm now starting to get angry.
Yeah, you
Okay.
start to resent. You
Exactly.
resent, correct.
And so what I want people to understand is when you're saying yes, it's about listening. It's
Correct.
about observing. It's not always, you know, doing for somebody else. Because
Correct.
if you can't do for yourself, it's like that oxygen mask. If I don't put it on myself first, I'm not going to be able to help the person next to me.
That is correct. It is not about saying yes to every situation. It's how you go into the situations that you have agreed that you do want to be part of. It's that I have learned so many times that when someone says yes to something, and I don't know what the example, let's just use this as an example. Okay, we're us having this conversation. Someone gets an opportunity to be interviewed, have a conversation about something, and leading up to it, they're in their mind, they're thinking, oh my God, this opportunity is going to lead to me going viral. It's going to lead to me having a list of people that want to interview me right after. It's going to lead to me doing this, this, and this. In their mind, this is what they're thinking. And then that doesn't happen. And all of a sudden, their mind shift changes. Well, I'm never doing that again. I'm never doing that again because I thought that all this was going to happen and that didn't happen. So now I'm closing myself off and I'm no longer moving forward with that. See, say yes every day is that this moment in time that we're having together, this is special. This is precious. And this does mean something. And every single thing that we do, whatever you say yes to, if it's yes to taking your kids to school today, if it's yes to picking your grandchild up from school today, whatever you're doing today, don't just rush through it. Enjoy every moment. Take a moment and feel your grandchild's hand touching yours as you take their hand to cross the street. Listen to your children in the back seat as you're driving them to school. Don't just have the radio on. Ask them a question and listen. Saying yes every day is really diving into whatever you're saying yes to today. Live it to the fullest.
That is a message that if we could drive home to more people, I think our communities would thrive more. Somebody asked me not too long ago, they said, so when you started New Cleveland Radio and you developed all these podcasts, what did you expect? And my comment really was, if I can reach one person, that's all I care about. Because
That's
that
right.
one
Well,
person,
you did it for the right reason then.
well, you know, it's funny because I wanted to be in broadcasting when I graduated high school. And my parents said, it's not a woman's industry. Don't go there. When I went back to complete my degree, I knew that this is what I was going to do in some way. And I remember that my mother, who was 94, 95 at the time, said to me, why? Why do you do this? Where do you come up with all these different subjects? And I said, Mom, my journey's been a tough one, but it's been a great one. I've learned a lot. But if I can learn from other people, maybe my future journey can become a little easier.
Oh.
And she just like looked at me like it really didn't resonate. So I said, let me explain it another way. I said, when you and I have a conversation and you share something from your past, or you tell me what happened at the grocery store today, or what your neighbor said to you. I said, I'm learning from that.
You are.
And she said, never thought of that. I said, the next time you have a conversation, tell me what you learned from it. And about a week or two later, I'm talking to her on the phone, and she tells me that she was at the grocery store, and my mother was 4'9", so you got to picture this. Somebody was reaching for something that they couldn't get. They were taller than her, but she figured maybe if she took her purse and swung it up there, and she did, and she got it down for the person. And I said, you were observing, Mom. You
Right.
helped somebody today. And she goes, that's because you told me to be aware. And I said, and that's what it's all about. So how did it make you feel? And she said, this 4'9", roly-poly lady was able to get that down for her. I said, it made you feel good.
That's right.
You did it for nobody else, but for that person. And that's how I look at these podcasts, because your book may help me. I'm not a cover-to-cover reader,
Right.
but just knowing what it's about, it needs to be on my bookshelf so that when I'm having a question, I can open it up and I can say, is the answer in here? Or do I have to read and be more aware to create my own answers?
Right. Exactly. And it really is, it's a mindset. And I love that conversation you had with your mom, because, and listen, I do think as you mature through life, once the kids are grown, and once that hustle and bustle of I'm trying to get the career and I'm trying to raise these kids, you are in such a whirlwind during that period, that season of life.
Right.
I think it's hard to be aware of other things that are happening. We're gifted that as we've matured, we can step back a moment and realize that you do need to be aware of ourselves, of others, and of the limited amount of time we have on this earth, because all of us have an end date, and to cherish every day and to make it special, not only for ourselves, but for others, it is life-changing in how you see the world.
Absolutely. So how can our listeners find your books? Let's talk about
Yes.
that.
So I am on Amazon and all that good stuff. So anywhere, you can go on Amazon. Say Yes Every Day is the name of the book. There's a Kindle version. I think it's like $1.99 or something, so I make it very, very inexpensive, so that, and as I'll actually give you a special thing. Okay. Part of my book is Say Yes Every Day, Discovering Your Superpower. That's the other part of the book, because I believe that every single one of us has a unique superpower that we can share with the world. Okay. I'll actually tell you what mine is. I have learned, and you learn your superpower by asking people that love you what's special about you. It's actually a beautiful exercise. So I highly recommend everyone just go to your partner, go to your grown kids, go to your friends, go to someone that cares about you, and just say, what do you think my superpower is? The responses you hear will make you feel very good, because a lot of times people don't share how they feel about us vocally. So when you hear that, it's very special. So what I want to offer you is, if anyone that's listening to this does the exercise and emails me at laura@positivelycharged.biz, and you tell me what your superpower is, and you give me your name and your address, I will mail you a free book that I will write to you, and I will mail it to you for free, because I believe everyone needs to hear someone tell them why they're special on this earth.
So what is your superpower?
So again, I had to ask, okay, because even though I was writing this book and I can remember the day, I was like messaging people and I'm like, all right, I have to now ask what my superpower is. My superpower is making other people feel good about themselves to be able to take themselves to the next level. So it's giving confidence in other people to be able to allow them to fulfill their dreams. That is
I
my
love that.
superpower.
That is wonderful. Well, you have been a delight. Just have to ask this question because, your husband was great supportive in the beginning. Okay. How did he feel when you became this power person?
So my husband, we call each other the yin and the yang, right? So although I'm this ball of energy and this bigger than life person, my husband is extremely quiet and extremely timid. He is the strongest supporter I could have ever imagined. He's my soulmate. I mean, he is absolutely my soulmate. And he literally told me very early on in my career, Laura, you need to just keep reaching for the stars. And no matter what I need to do, raising, taking care of the kids late at night when you can't be there, running around to pick you up at the airport, whatever I needed in support, he always just said, you go. I'm in the background. And now he travels with me to shows and he's recording videos for me and he does all my social media and he has a regular job. I mean, he doesn't work for me, but he's still to this day, he's my supporter. He's my rock. And I couldn't be who I am without him by my side.
That is fantastic. Not everybody has a support like that.
He's in the book. If you read the book, his name is Tony. You'll read all about him.
We'll read all about him. Well, I'm hoping all of our listeners will do that. And we're going to have you back on because I want to talk about the mortgage business because I do believe that, at least myself as a woman, when we bought our house, I didn't really know enough about anything.
Sure.
Okay. I knew we had a down payment. I knew what, we wanted our payment to be. I knew what we could afford. And that's the way we went. But I know there is so much more to that. And maybe if we can enlighten people, men, women, and the younger generation who's now saying, hey, do I pay rent or do I go buy a house? Those are things that are going to be really important. So
absolutely. And listen, remember, real estate is the greatest investment you can ever have because it will always appreciate, whether it's appreciate immediately or over time. It hands down is the best way to build generational wealth for us and for future generations. So it's life-changing. So I'm very passionate about it. I do believe people need to be educated. I can't understand that we don't educate people on such an important topic. But yes, I would love to come back and have a discussion.
We'd love to have you. Say hi to Tony for us. I'm going to read all about him.
Will do.
All right. Take care now. Bye-bye.